The Washington Post reported last week that federal agency chargeable tax gun purchase case against Hunter Biden. We'll take a look at why that is likely just a ruse, a way for the anti-Trump sycophants in power to go after Trump while maintaining the appearance of integrity. Integrity clearly has no meaning with these people. Hello, I'm Mike Huckabee. It's October 13th, and this is The Breakdown. As you may already have heard, a story leaked to the Washington Compost about Hunter Biden possibly facing criminal charges. And since then, it's been quite interesting to see the variety of reactions. It's tempting, of course, to get excited about the prospect of a Biden having to pay his dues for the corruption. But it's a little too early to get excited, knowing that this almost had to be a leak from our own so-called Justice Department. And with the midterm election just over a month away, the rhetorical question that you ought to be asking is, why now? I mean, there had to be some strategery involved in this leak. In an interview with Sean Hannity, Mark Levin explained quite well what he thought was a setup of President Trump. It's easy. The DOJ wants to show how even-handed they are by indicting Hunter Biden so that they can then go after Trump.
Why don't they indict Hunter? It's black and white. They've got the goods on him. So then we can have people say, okay, fine. And then we have Merrick Garland say, you see, I believe in equality under the law. So we did XYZ to Hunter Biden, and now we're doing XYZ to Donald Trump. I think this is a complete setup.
What this does is the opposite of even-handed, considering that these tax and gun registration charges barely scratch the surface of what the Bidens, including the sitting president, were up to. Global influence peddling that posed an enormous threat to national security. Some analysts speculate that the leak came from whistleblowers who are fed up with the DOJ's hesitance to bring charges. Yes, there have been scores of brave whistleblowers coming forward in recent weeks, but the Washington Post is more typically an outlet for leaks that damage Trump. Whistleblowers who really supported him or even supported justice probably would have gone to the New York Post. On the other hand, the Washington Post did report that the White House is paying a couple of staffers about $250,000 between them, specifically to anticipate and fend off Republican-led Biden family probes. That's right. You, the taxpayer, you're funding Biden's damage control scheme. Meanwhile, an opinion piece by Jack Schaefer in Politico titled, "If Hunter Biden Gets Indicted, There's an Upside for Joe." That piece lends great credence to the theory that charging Hunter is a way to go after Trump. He suggests that President Biden celebrate the political gain that he stands to reap in the wake of Hunter Biden's criminal justice misfortune. It goes on to say, quote, "A Hunter Biden indictment and prosecution would demonstrate the integrity of the Justice Department," end quote. There it is. Once the DOJ has demonstrated its integrity by leveling what are really bare minimum charges on Hunter, they can feel totally free to turn both barrels on Trump. Obviously, Joe Biden, with the influence that he carried as vice president, is at the center of this story, not Hunter. If the DOJ can dispense with his scandal by charging Hunter and then push ahead to charge its real target, Donald Trump, the political hacks who run that department, they'll be delighted. Wisconsin Senator Ron Johnson speculated last July that the Biden's compromise situation with China might just explain Joe's utterly baffling decision to cancel the China Initiative, which would have cracked down on China's industrial spying and the theft of U.S. intellectual property and data on American citizens. Kentucky House member James Comer, who's the ranking member of the House Oversight Committee, has repeatedly noted the 150-plus flags of suspicious activity in Biden bank accounts involving tens of millions of dollars. President Biden, well, he's consistently lied about having no involvement, not so much as one tiny conversation with Hunter about Biden business. I can't stop on such a downer note, though, and in fact, there may even be a glimmer of hope. On Maria Bartiromo's Sunday Morning Futures program, Ohio Representative Jim Jordan said that the Oversight Committee would probably take the lead in investigating the Biden influence peddling story. focusing on those red flag transactions.
This is where I think Congressman Comer wants to focus the investigation, and that is on these 150 suspicious activity reports. Most people never get any, but you got this one family, happens to be a pretty darn important family in our country, has 150. So I think that's where you'll see the focus of the investigation, if in fact in 1 month time, the American people put us in the majority.
But with all we already know, the question is, what does the FBI do about it? Perhaps this will be the coming role for whistleblowers to tell Congress what's going on over there. Will they continue trying to manipulate elections as they have been doing? And has the White House actually directed this? It sure seems that way. Just the News has been rolling out a story since the end of September on the ironically named Election Integrity Partnership. It's a consortium of 4 private entities, including the Soros-backed Atlantic Council, that were rewarded with big federal grants after Joe Biden's election, all for the purpose of suppressing social media posts containing so-called misinformation related to the 2020 election. This was revealed by former State Department official Mike Pence, who, after Trump's defeat, formed the Foundation for Freedom Online to advocate globally for free speech and to fight censorship. While details like that may seem to be good reason for pessimism, the reason you should be optimistic is because there are actually people revealing those sorts of details. It's becoming more and more difficult for political players to hide in the dark or behind their procrastinating. I hope and pray this fact will move Republican politicians to make the most out of the opportunities that they will come as of 2023. Well, thanks for watching, and I hope you'll consider leaving a like as well as subscribing to the channel, and be sure to click the notification bell below. Be sure to tune into the Live with Mike live stream this Friday, 2:30 p.m. Eastern, 1:30 Central. We'll cover more of the news of the week, and I'll answer all of your most uncomfortable questions. Well, most of them anyway. If you want more of my news analysis and commentary, sign up for my newsletter at MikeHuckabee.com. It's totally free. And that's going to do it for this edition of The Breakdown. I'm Mike Huckabee.